Hey there. So I have some time available because my children are out of the house and they are going to the dentist office. So I'm going to try to do some more reading at Devil Dog while I can. And we'll just jump right into it. We're starting at chapter 9. If you missed any of the other stuff, go back to the previous video and get chapters 1 through 8. All right, here we go. Chapter 9. You're kind of a lot. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I'm talking too fast, aren't I? I do that when I'm excited, and I'm so excited right now. You have no idea. Well, I mean, you might have an idea, actually, because you did just shoot the control panel of a hell reactor and free me, which is, objectively speaking, a very big day for anyone, really. But still, you don't really know what it's been like in there. I stalked through the dark passageways of the facility, heading back out to the parade ground where I started. My little map showed me there was an exit passage there. My new fairy companion hovered around my shoulder, yammering on. It was forever, Mike. Well, not really forever, because time doesn't work properly here, but it was long. Ages and ages and ages. At first, I tried counting, you know. Asahel always said counting helped. Like properly counting seconds, breaths, heartbeats, little hymns. It didn't really help, though. Asahel doesn't know what he's on about. Sounds rough, I said, checking corners before moving on. Try to keep your voice down. Oh, Sarah said, stuttering in mid flight. Um, why? Might I ask? I paused. Why what? I got a loud stage whisper in my ear. Why do I need to keep my voice down? I glanced at her. Do you want to go back in the tank? Oh, she said again, her brow furrowed. You really think they would? I grunted. Well, they jammed you in there the first time, and the little guy seemed pissed that I let you out. Hmm, she said, floating there. Then she giggled. The sound was so out of place it actually made me jump. What the heck, I asked, is funny? Pissed, she said. It's such a funny way to say it, like you urinated on him and made him upset. I looked at her again. Okay, I said slowly. Who exactly are you again? I told you, silly, Sarah said, a big smile on her face. I'm Sarah. Aha, I said. And what is that? Her face blossomed in understanding. I swear, this tiny chick's every emotion just exuded through her facial muscles. Oh, she said, I'm just a cantor. She said it matter of factly, like I should know what that was. I don't know what that is, I said. She blinked. Really? It's dreadfully common, you know. I raised an eyebrow. I've been around a while. I've never heard of that before. Oh, okay, Sarah said, chewing on her lip. Okay, it's like this. You know how the Lord created the stars, yes? I chuckled. Yes, I've been to Sunday school. I've heard that one. Aw, she said, I can see you in Sunday school. I mean, not like this, naturally. You'd probably terrify the kiddies. Sarah, I said. The stars? Right. Anywho, it is my sacred task to dance in the starlight and sing along with them. I really wanted to move further toward the exit, but I was struggling to absorb all the information. Hold up. Sacred task? What are you, some kind of angel? Her glow brightened. Yep. I let out my breath slowly. That was kinda sorta a hammer blow. You're an angel? I repeated. She looked at me. Yes, Mike, she said slowly, like I was a little kid and she was helping me along. I'm a starlight cantor of the lower choirs. Why, I growled, is an angel in hell? Oh, she said, and her brightness dimmed a little. I sort of got lost? I raised an eyebrow. You got lost? I repeated. Look, she said, Asahel and I were having a bit of a scavenger hunt, and to be fair, I had done a little boasting that I could find a Corona ruby, so I couldn't just go back without it. And he'd won the last 3 contests that she keep lighter, and I absolutely was not returning without one. And you wound up in hell, I stated flatly. She wrung her tiny little hands, looking embarrassed. A little? Isn't that so stupid of me? I grunted in amusement and glanced back out into the darkness. Sweetheart, I'll introduce you to Second Lieutenant sometime. Thank you. She said it so quietly, I almost missed it. It was like a whisper or a breath. I looked back at her and was surprised to see tiny tears rolling out of her eyes. Her shoulders started to shake and her hands went to her face. Whoa, hold on there, Pixie. Why are you crying? I asked. It's just, she sobbed. I was in there so long, and it hurt so much when they stole my light. God gave me that light, and they would just take it for themselves. I would do anything I could to not think about it. I talked to myself, I made up stories, I replayed memories over and over so I wouldn't lose them. I would, sing when they weren't pulling too much out of me. I even named the pipes, Mike. There was one I called Gerald because it hissed in a very judgmental way. And I imagined, this is the silly part, right? I imagined that someday someone would come. I stayed still, letting her talk. I didn't hear anything out in the passages, so we had this moment. And then you, she said, holding both hands out to frame me. You just walked in like it was nothing. Well, not nothing. There was quite a lot of shooting and shouting and general chaos, which I loved, by the way. Very dramatic, 10 out of 10 entrance. But you weren't supposed to be able to get to me. The whole place is designed to keep things in and everyone else out. And you just ignored that. She heaved a deep sigh. I spent so long in that filthy little tank that they never bothered to clean, cringing, waiting for the jab of the next needle. Then I felt you. I cocked my head. You felt me? Sarah nodded, wiping tears away. Oh, yes, very distinct. Your celestial energy was the first I'd felt in a very long time. It started breaking everything, and suddenly I could almost breathe again. Her eyes closed. And when you broke the reactor, oh, it was like breathing again for the first time after being underwater for ages. Everything rushed back in at once. The light, the warmth, the sound. I could hear properly again, not just that dull, muffled echo I'd gotten used to. It was overwhelming and brilliant, and I think I might have cried when I saw you. It it was more like the shining knight from the stories. I ducked my head. I appreciate it, Pixie Sticks, but I'm just a jarhead with an anger management issue. I'm not really that. She hugged both arms around herself. And now I'm out. I'm actually out. Do you understand how mad that is? I can move, Mike. I can see things that aren't pipes or fire or awful needles that pull the life out of me. There's a whole world out there. Well, several worlds, actually. And I haven't seen any of it in ever. I want to see everything, all of it, the good bits especially, but even the awful bits are better than being stuck in that dreadful tin can. I want to see a sunrise again. A real one, not the fake glow they pumped in sometimes to keep the extraction stable. I want to hear the stars laugh again. I want to feel wind. Is there wind here? I'm sure there must be somewhere. Oh, and oceans. Are there oceans in this layer? If not, we'll find one. We have to find one. I remember oceans, I think. I'd like to check. I couldn't keep the grin from my face. Her earnest wonder just poured over my scorched skin like cool water. The little angel turned toward me. And you? You're coming with me, obviously. Both eyebrows shot up. I am? She planted both hands on her tiny hips. I mean, you have to. You're my rescuer, and also my new best friend. And also, you've got that whole chosen champion dropped into Hell's game system thing going on, which is incredibly important. So, really, it just makes sense. We'll figure it all out together. You'll be in the game, and I'll help you get around, and you can do the shooting and the brooding and the very impressive standing your ground thing you do, and it'll be brilliant. I stared at her. Hell's. I took a deep breath before repeating what she had said. Game system? Mm-hmm. Sarah gushed, too excited to hear the concerned dread in my tone. It will be wonderful. Oh, and I'll try to keep it down, like you said. Then a mischievous smile sneaked across her face. No promises, though. I rubbed my hand down my face, feeling old age setting into my bones. Ooh boy. Chapter 10. Binding. I reached the security door that had stomped on a Gribbly. I moved toward the control panel and lifted my hand, but Sarah said, "Oh, let me get that for you." In a trail of blue, she fled over to the panel. A second later, lightning shocked through the system and the door rumbled open. She turned back to me. "Got it," she announced brightly. I moved through the door warily, my muscles tense as I waited for it to slam down on me. "Don't you need authority to do that?" I asked. I needed some kind of key. "Oh, I'm an angel," she said. "There aren't many systems here that are allowed to say no to me. Besides, even if they're difficult, I can access your authorities and plug them in." I raised an eyebrow. "Allowed to say no to you?" I asked. Sarah beamed at me. "Helps to be cute," she said sweetly. I chuckled despite myself and walked down the passageway. We passed by the map station, still dripping with Justin's unfortunate end, and Sarah wrinkled her nose. "Ew," she said. "Yeah." It had been about 15 minutes since I'd freed Sarah, and the reactor had shut down. That had given the demons just enough time to creep back in. I paused at the doorway, listening, but Sarah, the oblivious little thing she was, drifted on in. Immediately, about 10 pairs of yellowed eyes snapped toward her, lighting in the dark like sulphurous candles. "Pixie!" I barked. She looked back at me, eyes wide at my tone, and I charged forward. I ducked under her tiny figure and surged upward, cracking the stalk of judgment under the chin of the first goblin leaping for her. The demon flew backwards, chips of teeth scattering across the deck as it shrieked through its shattered jaw. "Get back!" I roared at her, and the little fairy dived behind me. I pivoted on one knee and rapid fired the Benelli. Two clouds of metal shot, followed by a screaming blast of light, shredded six of the remaining demons, hurling their remains to the deck in sprays of blood and ash. I slung the shotgun around my back just as the first survivor leapt for me. I blocked its roundhouse claw with my elbow, cradling my head, kicked its knee backwards, backhanded it, and twisted into a mule kick that smashed it to the deck a good 10 feet away. Its two buddies came, along with Broken Jaw from earlier. I lifted my hands to a boxer stance and said, "Aight then, come get it." They shrieked and sprang for me. I blocked one, smashed my elbow under the chin of another, twisted and swept the legs from Broken Jaw, sprang on top of him, pivoted over him, and gripped his scrawny neck in my legs. One wrench later, his claws sprawled lifeless on the deck as I rolled to my feet. I caught a claw on my hip and grimaced at the pain. I trapped it there with my same side hand, rammed a knee into its gut, then hoisted the thing bodily over my head. Contestant number 3 had time to see its death cast a shadow over its face before I slammed the demon down on top of it. Then again, and again. I didn't stop until both creatures were broken bags of bones and the red outlines went away. I staggered back from them, breath pistoning through my lungs, as I scanned through the parade deck, my hands ready for more. White outlines, as far as I could see. "Sarah!" I shouted. A little mote of light poked above the corpse of a demon judgment had split open. "Yes," she said, her voice small. I let out a deep breath. "Jeez, I thought they grabbed you. You need to be more careful, Pixie Sticks. These things want you bad." She rose into the air, her wings thrumming like hummingbird wings as she took in the battleground. "You you killed all of them." I slung the Benelli back around front and checked the chamber. Full again. "Yeah, girly girl, I'm a Marine. Kinda what I do." Sarah glanced around, her hair falling around her face, her eyes wide. "Do you," she said, seeming to choke on the words, "like it?" I looked at her sharply. She seemed shaken. Uh, I don't really think about it, to be honest. Sometimes it just needs to happen, and I'm, you know, good at it." She kept turning in midair, looking around. "There were 10 of them," she said, incredulous. I shrugged. "It's not that hard if you know what you're doing." Now it was Sarah's turn to look at me. "No, silly. These were 10 demons between levels 3 and 4. We're talking several times your health, and their combined power levels should have overwhelmed you. I thought I would be back in that tank for sure, feeling my grace drained from me again." I let my head hang and sighed. "Would it help if I said I had no idea what you're saying?" She cocked her head at me. "You don't know," she said, twirling her finger around to indicate the parade deck, "about the game, do you?" I shook my head. Heard it mentioned a couple of times. Is it like a coliseum kind of thing? Encounter completed. I bit back the profanity welling up behind my lips and held up a hand. Hold that thought. This stupid thing's not letting me see again. Kills 10. XP multipliers isolated, outnumbered. XP reductors overpowered. XP gained 10. Cinders gained 10. I cocked my head at that. That one's new. With a quick sigh, Sarah buzzed over to my shoulder. Which one's new? She asked. Just this new menu thing. Cinders or something. Hmm, Sarah said. Well, if you want me to see it, you'll have to bind to me so I can help you. And I'm not sure you want to do that. Bind to you? I asked. That sounds permanent. Sort of, yeah, she said, wincing. It's for the duration of the game. You can bind to weapons, armor, pets, and other pickups, and that means no one else can take them. Okay, I said, chuckling. I'm not getting the downside here. She bit her lip, and I saw her hesitation. What's wrong? Well, Sarah said, wringing her hands in front of her again, it also means you would be stuck with me. I furrowed my brow. Why is that a problem? Um, well, she said, twirling a strand of hair in her fingers, I've been called, well, annoying. Unbidden, a grin split my face and I had to cover it with a hand. Yeah, well, I ain't exactly Mr. Personality either, Pixie. I held out a hand. Come on, let's do it. She held back a bit. Are you sure? You don't have to. I beckoned a couple of times. Come on. If you're bound to me, no one else can snatch you unless they get through me. Sarah blinked, and I was surprised to see tears on her cheeks. Really? Just like that? You would do that for me? I shrugged. Don't make it a big deal. Come on, I gotcha. She sniffed. You don't realize, Mike. Literally every demon in hell wants me back right now. They will all be coming for me, and once we leave the intake center, we'll show up on the game's world map. They'll know where I am, all of them. Barons and dukes and swarms, all coming for my grace. I stood straighter then, lifted my shotgun to rest on my shoulder, and very pointedly glanced around the room. Shattered demon husks lay around me, along with the blasted corpse of Razakel. I, I growled. Gotcha. Sarah swiped at the tears on her cheeks. Okay, she said quietly, and thrummed forward to rest in my hand. Binding requested. Entity classification familiar. Target Sarah. Warning. Entity origin non infernal. Classification unresolved. Proceed? Yes, I said out loud. Processing. Error. 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 Reconciling authority. External signature detected. Source unknown. Priority override. Sarah glowed blue-white in my palm for a moment. I felt a cooling sensation run through my forearm, up my shoulder, and into my skull. Binding. Accepted. Non-standard authority override. Status. Conditional. Pending review. System compliance. Partial. Familiar link established. Familiar. Sarah. Notice. This binding does not conform to standard parameters. Flagging for review. Sarah, I said. I think we're good. Are you sure? She asked. The system doesn't sound very pleased. I shrugged. It never likes anything I do. Passive effect unlocked. Grace resonance minor. Regeneration increased. Radiant affinity detected. Visibility increased. Hostile entities may track familiar signature. Oh, Sarah cried. I knew it. I'm going to get you killed. It's going to be all my fault. Nah, I said, taking judgment in both hands and facing the way out. It's not the first time things have come for me and things on my side tried to get me killed. Probably won't be the last. Really? Sarah said, wincing as snarls rose from the darkness of the exit. You're not just trying to make me feel good. Pixie, I muttered, sighting down into the black. I really gotta tell you about second lieutenants. I know. My British accent is all over the place. Get off my back. I'm not British. I'm free. All right, chapter 11. New zone. So, Sarah said as I walked to the passageway marked exit on my minimap, second lieutenants are enemies. I chuckled. Yeah, kinda. She buzzed from one shoulder to another, a thoughtful look on her face. They sound like tricksters, she said. They're like little gremlins that always get you lost or make your work 3 times harder. I couldn't hold it in. My laugh barked off the metal walls and rang throughout the facility. Yeah, that sounds about right. I reached the exit gate. Actually, before I hit the exit gate, a wall of shimmering orange flame sprang into view just in front of me. I skidded to a halt and backed up a step, weapon coming up. The flame disappeared. I cocked my head. That was weird, I said. What? Sarah asked. I took that step forward again. Flames roared back up. Weird thing was, I didn't feel any heat. It almost seemed cosmetic. Pixie, I said. What's this? She glanced at the flames. Oh, area transition, she said, like I should have any idea what that was. I closed my eyes, feeling tired. I was really starting to hate how this place complicated basic things. Okay, what's that? She rested her chin on her hand. It's, how you move between regions in hell. It's part of the game. Okay, I said, for like the 8th time. What's the game? Her gaze snapped to me. How are you here, she asked, if you don't know what the game is? I took a deep breath, stepped away from the flame wall, area transition, whatever, and sat my happy tush on the ground. That's it, I said. I'm not taking one more step into this nightmare until someone answers my freaking questions. Sarah folded her hands in front of her. Okay, she said. What would you like to know? I rubbed my chin, feeling harsh stubble starting to form. So, hair could grow here. That was good to know. I feel like it's a little obvious, Pixie Sticks. Why am I in hell? Why is there a game in hell? And what am I doing in it? Sarah nodded. Okay, I'll do my best. Um, you're in hell because you died in your sins. There's a game in hell, so demons can advance the status and prestige among each other, and you are in it because you have no choice in the matter. I blinked. Sarah opened her hands like a flower and shrugged slowly. Do you need me to explain any of that? I pinched the bridge of my nose, feeling a headache coming on. Hold up. Go back to the first one. Sarah's eyebrows went up. You dying in your sins? Yeah, that. I'm a Christian. I'm not supposed to die and go to hell. That's in the Bible. Sarah pressed her lips together. Well, she said gently, if you're here, then you weren't a Christian. My gaze went hard. Yeah, I said. I am. Sarah cocked her head. Well, I guess I could check. She fled over to me and placed a hand on the skin of my cheek. A tiny spark of chill zipped through my face. Then she backed off, confusion writ all over her countenance. That's not possible, she said. I chuckled helplessly. See? Now you get it. She looked down, her mouth open in shock. But you shouldn't be here, she cried. You're redeemed. Hell has no claim on you. I spread my hands. And yet, we need to tell someone. You shouldn't be here. She was really getting worked up. Pixie, I said, holding up a hand, you're not supposed to be here either, right? Her little brow furrowed. Well, no. So I imagine someone's going to come looking for us, right? She tugged at her sleeve. I guess. I hope. I sighed. Okay. Just gotta survive until someone shows up to fix Heaven's mistake. Heaven doesn't make mistakes. I blinked at the sharpness in her tone. She flit right in front of my nose, and I leaned away, surprised at the seriousness on her face. I'm not kidding. Heaven doesn't make mistakes. I might and you might, but if we're here, there's a reason, and we need to find out what that is. Okay, I said slowly, hands raised. Heaven doesn't make mistakes. Heard. Good, she said. She buzzed back a few inches, her face going pensive again. She chewed on a fingernail, which I found oddly endearing for a tiny angel. Well, if you don't belong here, then you didn't get any of the tutorials about the game. I nodded. That is correct. She smiled at me. You must be very confused then. Yeah, just a little bit. She took a deep breath. Okay, how to explain this? Um, every now and then, the game initiates in hell. Suddenly, everything in hell, from the lowliest beetles to the highest demon lord, gets stats and levels, experience and quests. No one really knows how or why it happens, but the demons do not control it. They just take advantage of it. This is the only time a demon or soul can advance its position in hell by leveling itself up. I narrowed my eyes. Huh, I said, soaking that in. This, Sarah said, twisting in midair and gesturing at the parade deck around us, is an intake center. It's a tutorial area where new souls spawns can learn the interface systems and become acquainted with the game before taking an area transition into the next region. I cocked my eye and cocked my eye. Eh. I cocked my head and pointed at her. Then what were you doing here? She gave a little shrug, staring at me with wide, innocent eyes. I have no idea. Hmm, I said. I shoved myself to my feet and brought up judgment. Sounds like we need to go find a demon and ask it some questions. A name flashed up in my memory. Gorza, the little freak that was trying to keep you in. Let's get him. Sarah furrowed her brow. Why would he tell us anything, though? I glanced at her. To make whatever I'm doing to him stop. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Then a big smile crossed her face. Like tickling him? I rolled my eyes. Yeah, sure, Pixie. I'm gonna tickle him. I approached the exit, and the flame wall roared up again. This time, though, I put my hand to the wall. Exit intake center? Yes, I said. Fire roared and wrapped around me. I still didn't feel any heat, but the experience spiked adrenaline in my system. Area transition. Zone. Ashen approach. Level range 3 to 8. Status. Safeguards removed. New options available. Contracts. Resource harvesting. Welcome to the game. I found myself standing outside the facility, shaking the spots out of my vision. Oh man, I didn't like that. Sarah was still with me, so that was cool. Her eyes seemed a little unfocused. She was probably reading the text I had just seen. Hey, you good? She blinked and mumbled, uh-huh. She seemed unsettled by something. I rolled my shoulders back, stretching as I looked out over the world. So, I said, this is hell. Red rock, red sand, swirling eddies of wind, and black clouds lit by constant heat lightning. Ashen approach, I said. Sounds like a vacation spot, am I right? That's, Sarah said slowly, not what it's called. I glanced at her. Huh? What do you mean? It's on the little message thing. She shook her head, her eyes still unfocused. Not the one I can see. I raised an eyebrow. The one you can see? The heck does that mean? She blinked and shook her head. Well, as an angel, I can access the code behind the user interface that you get as a, player. Okay, I said. That sounds like you have admin permissions. Well, that sounds useful. So, what's this place called when you look at it? Um, she said. I closed my eyes and rocked my head back. Why don't you want to tell me? 'Cause it will make you sad, she said. I chuckled darkly. Go ahead and make me sad, Pixie. What's this place really called? Well, it's still technically called Ashen Approach, so you have that right. But it has a tag appended, which is. She let out a little sigh. Feeding area? I grunted, which was actually half grunt, half whine. Cool, I said. Why don't you just show me what you can see? Okay. System layer. Restricted. Access. Celestial override. Region descriptor, feeding area. Purpose, early stage culling, power distribution. Spawn directive, low tier entities, cyclical. Aggression scaling, adaptive. Tracking protocols, active. Query type, anomaly search, priority flag, escalating. External process detected. Source, audit layer. Crawler instances deployed. Search parameters. Non infernal signature. Authority irregularity. Early stage culling, I muttered. Oh, that just sounds awesome. That's, Sarah said, not actually the worst part. Okay, I said, of course not. Show me the worst part. She pointed at the bottom area of text. See this? The audit layer. I nodded. Yeah? What's that? Auditors are the entities that run the game in hell, the ones that enforce all the rules. It's their job to make sure no one's cheating. I nodded. So, what are they? Like demons or something? Sarah shook her head. They're not angels or demons. They're more like constructs. They find errors in the system and delete them. I hesitated and checked back over the text. External process detected. Source, audit layer. Crawler instances deployed. Search parameters, non infernal signature. Authority irregularity. Hold up, I said. Crawler instances? That sounds like bots. And they're searching for. Sarah nodded. Anything that doesn't belong in hell. We looked at each other. I let out a deep breath. Welp, I said. That's both of us. So we're about to get auditors showing up to delete us? Sarah nodded, wincing. Possibly. And this is going to happen, I said, waving judgment around the general vicinity, in an area designed to cull players early. Sarah kept nodding. Yes. Yes, I believe that is accurate. I sighed and stretched again, feeling a vertebra crack in my back. Awesome. Can't wait. Suddenly, Sarah froze in midair, and her eyes widened at something behind me. Mike, she whispered. Yeah, I asked, already knowing what she was going to say. They found us. Chapter 12. Teamwork. You! I knew that voice. I turned around slowly, Sarah hiding behind my head and peeking out. I looked down at the little goblin. Gorza, right? Mother of crap. The little freak had about 30 buddies with him, and this time they weren't all conveniently packed into one spot. Gorza ignored my sarcasm. The little demon was breathing heavily, the thicket of quills on his back rising and falling in time. You're both leaving in bags, he snarled without preamble. You in pieces. Her in her own juice. I ticked my head to the side and muttered, Pixie? She was already flipping through menus and screens, her eyes darting around as she absorbed information. Level 5 Wrath Pack, Goblins, she said. Same level as you, just a lot more of them. I rolled my shoulders to loosen them up. Think I'm gonna pass, ugly, I shouted back. I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of this crap. Sarah let out an indignant squeak in my ear. You haven't spent your skill points yet? I've been busy, I growled back. She huffed quietly and started poking at screens. Beeps and chimes rang in my ears, and I twisted to see what was happening. What are you doing? I hissed through grit teeth. Leveling you up, she replied. You're spending my skill points? She jabbed a tiny finger past my nose. Maybe you should pay attention out there, and I'll work back here. Aye, ma'am, I grumbled, but I turned back to Gorza and his cavalcade of creeps. She had a point. Gorza's lip curled back from needle teeth. Kill him, he barked. The mob surged forward. It was like a flood of claws, their talons striking sparks from the rocks as they burst toward me. They fanned out, not bunching up like in the facility. Great, they're learning. Pixie sticks! Is there anything like a grenade in there? 1 second. They were 10 yards away. 1 second was all I had. Or a machine gun. Anything I can. First one jumped for me. I pivoted and smashed it away with Judgment's barrel. I sighted on its buddy behind it and pulled the trigger. The fracker exploded into slime. That didn't bother me. What bothered me was the two uglies behind it glowing all of a sudden and getting bigger. Sarah? I asked, backing up. She didn't answer, frantically swiping through screens. I growled and fired again. One of the goblins flew backwards, blood spraying from the massive hole in its ribcage. The rest grew about an inch, and hungry grins spread across their faces as they saw its effect on me. Then flames sprouted in their hands, and they reached for the rocks at their feet. Seriously not cool, I muttered. Time to use what I knew. I squinted at the closest one and hit it with Mark of the Unclean. Target identified. Goblin Skirmisher, Wrath Pack, level 5. Active effects, Blood Tithe, times 2. When you got a second, I said, need a breakdown on what a blood tithe is. The mob's arms went back, and I twisted and dove for cover behind a nearby boulder. Flaming rocks slammed down around me, some close enough to burn. A small screen popped up in my vision. Wrath passive. Blood tithe. The rage only builds. Plus 3% strength per fallen packmate. Plus 3% attack speed per fallen packmate. Plus 2% damage resistance per fallen packmate. Stacks indefinitely within combat instance. Well, Sarah said, that's not good. I bolted from behind the boulder and ran for the door of the intake center, just to keep the rocks from raining down on me even more. Yeah, tell me about it, I yelled. What does all that mean? This pack's burning is wrath, which means, they get buffs the more of them you kill, Sarah explained. What? I shouted back at her. Why does that exist? It's hell, she fired back. What do you want me to say? A rock smacked into my upper arm, and immediately the flesh sizzled. Gah! I spun around the corner of the intake center, aimed in the general direction of my mark, and fired my third shot. The superpowered shot vaporized the target and the two critters behind it. The rest grew again. Thanks to math for Marines, I knew that meant we were up to 5 stacks of blood tithe. Everything else just got even stronger. I needed a plan. Sarah, I snarled, I got any new stuff? She muttered a nervous song. Yes, here we go. Suddenly, the heat dropped and it almost felt refreshing outside. I glanced around the corner and saw a nebulous barrier holding about 5 yards out, with me at its epicenter. What's that? I asked. In answer, another screen popped up. Ability unlocked. Halo of Judgment. Type, passive aura, active detonation. Alignment, radiant. Let them feel holiness again. You radiate consecrated force that punishes infernal entities and sustains your flesh. Passive effects. Continuous radiant damage to nearby infernals. Radius 5 yards. Disrupts burning based effects within aura. Converts damage dealt into minor self-restoration. Active. Judgment Surge. Release stored radiant energy in an explosive burst. Expands aura radius temporarily up to 8 yards. Heavy AoE damage and knockback. Purges active burning stacks on affected enemies. Cost, stored radiance. Cooldown, moderate. Yep, I said. That'll do it. I exploded from cover and charged directly for the nearest concentration of goblins. They chittered as they saw me, and some hurled flaming stones while others closed with their claws. When the first one hit that nebulous line, though, the effect was instantaneous. Its skin caught on fire, and its sulfur yellow eyes widened at the sudden agony engulfing it. It shrank down, too, and I could see the text above its head shift suddenly. Blood tithe times 3. My Halo of Judgment had just halved its blood tithe stacks. Not only that, but the red line above its head drained constantly. I knew that from video games. That was a health bar, like in the Mortal Kombat arcades. I was burning it alive. All around, anything within my aura shrieked and thrashed as its skin ignited. So far, it looked like I had 7 of them, which I knew because there was an unobtrusive counter on the right side of my vision reading 7. With it was a bar that topped off as soon as I looked at it. Judgment Surge, ready! I'm gonna try the active, I said, and without giving Sarah a chance to reply, I stomped down on the ground. Light exploded around me and the air caught fire. Immediately, the counter went from 7 to 0. The pack screamed in rage, growing in size. This time, though, their indicators changed color from red to blazing orange. I opened my mouth, but Sarah beat me to it. Don't ask, I got it. She fed me a new screen, which I scanned while I bolted for another piece of cover. Wrath threshold reached. Pack Fury. Now you pay. Remaining units enter frenzy. Pain suppression on. Fear response disabled. Aggression maximum. I glanced at the remaining Griblies, and sure enough, rocks spilled from their open claws as they charged straight for me. I panned judgment across their ranks, hauling on the trigger 3 times. 2 died from the regular blasts, while another 3 bit it from the radiant shot. My counter on the right jumped up to 13 as the pack burst into the radius of my halo. The bar started to fill, but it would take a few seconds. The first gremlin jumped for me, howling, and I dodged to the side, caught the back of its head, and slammed it into the dark iron of the intake center. Its health dipped, but didn't drain entirely. It also raked its claw down my leg like I hadn't just blasted its senses out of its skull. I shouted in shock and stomped on its cranium, squirting fluid and something gelatinous out of its ugly head. That managed to kill it. 12. Another claw caught me under the ribs, and I roared. I drove a knee up into its gut, hammered my fist into its skull, Spartan kicked it back, and blasted it with judgment. Look out! Sarah cried, and I dropped to the ground, feeling sparks rain down on me as another grotesquely overgrown claw spanged from the metal wall. My gut exploded in pain as a heavy foot smashed into it and threw me across the rocky ground. I hit a boulder and crumpled. I tasted blood and my vision swam, letting me see just a glimpse of the monsters bearing down on me, snarling in gleeful anticipation despite the flames licking at their health bars. Judgment Surge, active! I'll see you in hell, I spat out, and slammed my palm on the ground. The blast vaporized the front half of each of the pack of the demons, throwing blackened skeletons to the rocks with scraps of sizzling meat. Ew, that seems excessive, Sarah said. I shoved myself to one arm and tried to lever myself up. We, I mumbled through the pain wrapping my bones, are not complaining. Oh no, sure thing, Sarah said. 10 out of 10, well done. Just a little, aesthetically displeasing. Pink slime slopped to the ground from a nearby rock face. One goblin lay on its back, its guts literally boiling beneath its ribs. Okay, that actually. Well, I said, like overkill. Sarah flipped to my shoulder and looked me over. You need healing, she stated matter of factly. An explosive grunt of amusement burst out of me, and man, that hurt. Probably still not service connected, though, I said. All right, I think I can do one more before I gotta go. Chapter 13, which I named Angels, Drugs, and Bad Decisions. I staggered to the door of the intake center. Ignoring the whoosh of cosmetic flames asking me if I wanted to go back inside, I put my back against the hot metal and slid to the ground with a groan. Sarah hovered above me anxiously. Are you all right? She asked. Rah, I growled, holding a hand to my side and looking down at the blood painting my hand. I'm just peachy, Pixie. Having a swell time. She chewed on her lip, looking down at me. My aura will heal you over time, but this is more than I can handle right now. I glanced at her, looking all worried with her brow furrowed, and waved my non-guts holding in hand. Don't worry about it. It's just pain. It's just... I had to stop to spit blood to the side before going on. Weakness, leaving the body. I'll be fine. Her eyes flashed suddenly. You leveled up, she said, her eyes scanning invisible text. A frickin' za, I said. Put it on my tombstone. Her fingers fluttered through screens. Out of curiosity as to what she was doing, I pulled them up to see what she was looking at. Combat instance complete. Wrath mob eliminated. Targets neutralized. 30. Threat classification. Wrath Gremlin Pack. Levels 4 through 5. Pack modifier. Blood Tithe. 12 peak stacks recorded. XP gain. 300 XP rewarded. Level up. Level 5 to level 6. Attribute increases. +2 strength. +2 endurance. +1 agility. Resource expansion. Mana capacity increased. Stamina recovery rate improved. System notice. Combat analysis. Wrath type entities escalate exponentially with pack attrition. Extended engagements increase lethality curve. Recommendation: prioritize rapid elimination or disengagement. Ability synergy detected. Radiant alignment stabilized. Passive aura efficiency increased.
Low tier demonic entities suffer continuous burn within proximity. Sustained combat generates minor self regeneration. New active unlocked. Radiant Surge active. Convert stored radiance into explosive radial discharge. AoE damage burst. Scales with enemies affected by passive aura. Cooldown moderate. Loot summary. Cinders collected 23. System status. Next threshold to level 7. 420 XP. There, she said, and something dinged. New ability unlocked. Sanctified Mending. Active. By grace are ye saved. Channel radiant mana to forcibly reconstruct damaged tissue. Rapid wound closure. Stabilizes bleeding and internal trauma. Effect scales with mana invested. Cost. High mana drain. Variable. Limitations. Cannot be sustained without sufficient reserves. Repeated use risks mana exhaustion. Huh, I said, feeling blood sticking to my teeth. That sounds good. Okay, listen carefully, Sarah said. I had to hit some buttons to get this for you, and the system might be a little peeved with me. This ability is not free. You push too much mana, you'll plug your holes, and then pass out right after. MREs do that too, I said, grinning at her. Ew, don't do that. You really can't see yourself right now, and there's blood like everywhere on your teeth, Sarah said. And I don't know what MREs are. They plug your holes, I said, feeling agony spike through my guts as I chuckled. I feel like I don't want to know more about that. I shook my head. No, you do not. Anyway, push too little and you'll keep bleeding. Be smart about it and use your mana wisely, yeah? I restore it for you passively, and that will get better and faster as I level up with you as your familiar. I'd use your new ability now, actually. Like, quickly. And remember, it's a channeled ability, so you'll have to hold it down. Okay. Jeez. I focused on the name Sanctified Mending and concentrated on it, like pushing down the gas pedal of a car. It felt odd. One part of me felt the draining, like cold water running out. But let me tell you the benefits. Light poured out from the rips and claw rents in my skin. Flesh pulled together, and I could feel strength returning to my limbs as the mana rushed through me, seeking wounds out. I don't know how to describe it, but it was like the ability filled the wounds in, healing them from the inside out. That's probably good, Sarah said quickly, and I released it. Whoa, I said, blinking. That was wiggy. Is wiggy a good thing? Sarah asked. It's like I can speak your words but not your language. I grunted and eased back up to my feet, and that's pretty much the definition of feeling wiggy. I scanned the area. What are you looking for? Sarah asked. Little freak Gorza that just sicked a crap ton of gremlins on me. I want to ask him some questions. Okay, my wife is calling me, so I guess I gotta go early. I got halfway through that chapter. I will try to do another live reading sometime soon so I can finish it up. So, you guys have a good rest of your day.